Shalom, Sister Harrison. Shalom. We appreciate your presence. We give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yahuwah Ba'Shem Yahushua this day. Let's get this John 5:39. Get this thing percolating, cracking, popping, whatever you want to say. Search the scriptures for in them. Shalom, GP. Search the scriptures for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How you can believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that come from Elohim only. Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there is one that accused you, even Moses, of whom you trust. But had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. Excuse me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? Hit this swing back to Proverbs chapter 6, right? We just went through. We're gonna probably no, I ain't gonna say that, but from about verse 20 on down, we may not deal with all of that. At least maybe to about 24, because we just recently did so. But nevertheless, praise be to Yah, man. Blessed be his Shabbat, man. I appreciate everybody's time. We'll pick this up at about Proverbs 6 and 4. So, man. It says, give not sleep to your eyes, no slumber to your eyelids. Deliver yourself as a roe from the hand of the hunter, and as a bird from the hand of the fowler. So, our intent, our goal, our purpose is to go through this thing and see the gospel out of the book of Proverbs. Y'all know this was sprung from the time that we spent looking at Proverbs 23 and 23. Buy the truth and sell it not. Just give me a second. I'm pulling the word out, pause, that I have for this right here. In one of these verses, I just hadn't written it down, but I had it in phone. So, yeah. So let's take a look at that, right? Give not sleep to your eyes, no slumber to your eyelids. How can we see this in the gospel? Let's take a trip to Matthew chapter 27, and let's see how we could take a trip and see this through the gospel. Because Proverbs was dealing with some of the stuff that we were talking about, female nature and things of that course. But looking at the fact of buying the truth and selling it now, this is about not Matthew 27, y'all. Matthew chapter 26 and about verse 36. And selling it not, and also obtaining wisdom, discipline, and understanding, went ahead and, hey, we could pull this whole gospel out, out the book of Proverbs. So you are willing, it's beneficial to all, and that we get some understanding out of place. So Matthew chapter 26 and verse 36, he said, don't give no sleep to your eyelids. Let's see if it's in the gospel or not. Then come Yahushua with them unto a place called Jessamine, and he say unto the disciples, sit you here while I go and pray yonder. And he took with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and they began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Then he say unto them, my soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry you here and watch with me. And he went a little further and find them asleep. And he said unto Peter, what indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Again, the second time praying, saying, oh, my Abba, this cup may not pass away from me except I drink it, your will be done. And he came forth and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. And he left them and went away again and prayed the third time, saying the same words. Then come he to his disciples and say unto them, sleep on now, take your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hand of sinners. Rise, let us be going. Behold, he is that hand that betrayed me. So when we look at this here, right, because we need to know, have a rationale why these men are falling asleep according to the script. We see that it's written. But that's just not a point out, oh, look, they fell asleep right here. No, 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 no. No, no, no. He told you don't give no sleep to your eyes, nor slumber to your eyelids. So remember, the key point of what we're looking at with that is he told them to not sleep, but to be awake, lest you fall into temptation, because the ruach is willing and the flesh is weak. See, you got a lot of individuals. See, that's the key thing. That's what they ain't that what they say? Well, that's what the thing they say now. I'm woke. That's the thing they say, ain't it? But you realize, y'all ever realize something when niggas who say they woke, they all got one thing in common. You know what that thing they got in common? Them niggas just be running their mouth. You know what I'm talking about? And that's all they be doing. Niggas just be running their mouth. They ain't really got no. You feel every time you read the scriptures, you feel sleepy. No, I don't necessarily mean the ruach. You might need some rest. You know what I'm saying? You just might need some rest. You know what I'm saying? But that's not the point that he's trying to make. When he came and found them asleep, they were asleep because they were fulfilling book. But see, let's look at something since I'm headed in that direction. Come on over here to Isaiah 29. I go ahead and do that a little early. Because he told you watch and pray. So it's not necessarily the sleep. They fall asleep for a different reason. To pull out a different point. And you get asleep, you probably just need some rest. Like a watermelon, boy. Isaiah 29 and what? 9? Hold on. Let me show y'all what I was talking to y'all about the other day. Come over to Isaiah 28. Let me show you what I was telling you. This is something extra, right? This was something I was talking about the other day. Where is it? There you go. 28 and 5. I was talking about this the other day, man. I'm going to share it with you real quick. Isaiah 28 and 5, right? It says, in that day shall Yahuwah of hosts be a crown of esteem, and for a diadem of beauty unto the residue of his people, and for a ruach of judgment to him that sit in judgment, and for strength to them that turn the battle to the gate. But they also err through wine and through strong drink out of the way. The priest and the prophet have erred through strong drink. They're swallowed up of wine. They're out of the way through strong drink. They err in vision. They stumble in judgment. We were just talking about some dudes like to get together, teach the word, nigga be sipping. You know what I'm saying? Book tell you right there, you go to doing all that there. Now you're going to err and get out of the way. See, you ain't got no business trying to do nothing with no word on no little drink. That don't even make common sense. Little strong drink. That's why one of the reasons like this here, right? And this going to deal with not falling asleep. Because you know when you get drunk, sometimes you like to do what? See, they start reading. You like to fall asleep, don't you? Like the err in judgment, sleep on your watch. But I ain't talking about no physically sleeping. Because they say you're err in judgment. Now come over here to 29 chapter Isaiah. See, you're going to err in judgment 29 and 9. See, I read that to get drunk for a reason. See, the first verse of the words in verse 9, what made me go on over there. So it wasn't for no reason. He says, stay yourselves and wonder you. Cry out and cry. They are drunken, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. He said, for you who have poured out upon you the ruach of deep sleep and have closed your eyes. The prophet and your rulers, the seers have he covered. See, this is why he tell you don't need to go to sleep, do it. See, because he got them going to sleep off that wine. See, he had the priests and the prophets and the rulers, they sipping on that wine, and they were erring in judgment. So he said, you know what? I'm going to have you go ahead and get even more drunk on them. But he said, ain't going to be on the wine. He said, I'm going to put that ruach of deep on you. You know what I'm saying? But this sleep that he putting on you ain't no sleep of slumber. You know what I'm talking about? It's causing you to rest or cease from hearing and seeing the words of Elohim. See that? Oh, that's why you don't need to sleep. See, come on, right? Come over here to Ephesians, right? This is Ephesians. Now, this ain't necessarily dealing with the apostles, but you can see why he said, watch and pray lest you fall into temptation. See, these prophets, priests, and these rulers, they weren't watching and praying, so he poured that ruach of deep sleep on them. Now they can fall into temptation because your ruach is willing to do what the word said, but that flesh want to do what it want to do. That's why you got to buy your instruction or your musar, your discipline, your chastening or your rebuke. See, you know what I'm saying? I've been listening, and it's stuff that I've already known and learned that as through the course of time of of growing up. You know what I'm saying? Luckily for my behalf, that discipline was taught. Like I say, discipline is not always the act of chastening or correcting a child. Discipline is the art of knowing what you need to do and doing it irregardless of someone telling you what to do or someone standing over your shoulder to make sure that you do it, which is going to go into soon what we're going to look at with that ant in Proverbs chapter 6. See, a lot of people need to be told what to do. You need somebody to hold your hand. See, someone, you don't need to be told what to do. You already know what to do. So you do what's required of you. That's why the one you know that, and of course he wasn't necessarily referring to this specifically, but Yahusha made the statement of to whom much is given, much is required. So a lot of individuals seek to become husbands and be leaders, but to whom much is given, much is required. Remember, we just talked about that not too long ago in 2 Samuel 23. Now he that rules amongst men must be just, ruling in the fear of Elohim. So if you want to rule, then much is going to be required of you. So we were discussing this last night too, in this just period. The reason, you know what I'm saying? Truth be told, most women are not capable of instructing discipline and accountability because a lot of them don't possess it because they weren't taught it, and they're emotive creatures. So usually their emotions will not allow them to be disciplined over an extended period of time. You know what I'm saying? It's easier for a woman to be extremely disciplined if she was raised in that fashion. And usually when you find women of that ilk, they usually had a strong male presence in their household. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where that comes from. That's how Yahuwah set it up. That's where you see that in the relationship of Yahusha to Yasharal. People may not like it. It might offend you. Doesn't change the fact that that's the natural order of things, and that's how Yahuwah created it. The head is always going to have more discipline than the body. You know what I'm saying? That's simple common sense. You know what I'm saying? That's just simple common sense. It may not be simple common sense now because you live in a society, as we've discussed ad nauseum over the course of the last 7 to 8 months, that denigrate the masculine. You know what I'm saying? Seek to emasculate the masculine and to elevate the feminine in regards that the feminine is ruling over the masculine, and an emotive creature will have a very hard time being disciplined. Just on the simple. That's why a lot of young men are undisciplined, because they're emotive. You know what I'm saying? They move and they react off their emotions. You know what I'm saying? People who have a strong sense of accountability usually are very disciplined. You know what I'm saying? Because those two things go hand in hand. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be a person who has self-accountability and is self-aware and then lacks discipline. It usually doesn't happen. It does, and it's exceptions to every rule. But usually people who are self-aware and self-accountable are able to discipline themselves to complete tasks, whatever those tasks may be. So when he's telling you that the Ruach is willing, but the flesh is weak, the Ruach is a discipline. It's going to discipline you. You know what I'm saying? It is going to bring you into subjection into what you're supposed to be doing. This is one of the reasons why I tell you in Jeremiah, nobody's going to need to tell you, know Yahuwah, because the Ruach of truth would be you, and it's the Ruach of separation. And in order to receive the Ruach HaKadosh, there must be a level of discipline contained in that individual, because you would have believed the gospel, and therefore you would have obeyed the gospel, which means you would have took up your stake daily and followed him, which means you would have denied your flesh, which is discipline. Because you would sanction yourself and govern yourself without somebody telling you, you don't need to cheat on your wife. You don't need to steal. You don't need to lie. You don't need anyone to tell you not to do that. Because the word will be in you to discipline yourself into not doing that. But nevertheless, I don't remember where I was going. You ready? Oh, yeah, that's what I was going. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. It's Ephesians 5, probably about verse 10. That's it. Galatians come before it. Yeah. We pick it up at verse 6, though. Galatians 5. It says, let no man deceive you. Matter of fact, make it verse 3. It'll run down the whole play. It say, but fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become chesed. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. For this you know that no whoremonger, nor unclean person, nor covetous man who is an idolater, having an inheritance in the kingdom of Mashal and of Elohim. Let no man deceive you with vain words, for because these things come the wrath of Elohim upon the children of disobedience. See, now, when you look at the children of disobedience, it takes us back to what's in the epistle to the Hebrews, where it says that if an individual will not take chastening, then he can't be a son, but he is a bastard, because you'll be a son of disobedience. You be a son of Belial, you're worthless. You know, anyone who's going to be a son of Elohim has to take on the musar or the chastening or the discipline, or he will not receive you as a son, because what son will not be disciplined from his father? See, that's what I just was, all this is going back to what I mentioned to you. This is the order, how it's set up. You don't read in the text about no woman disciplining her son, because we've taken discipline to be in regards of physical retribution for disobedience. You know what I'm saying? But discipline is not necessarily physical retribution or consequences or sanctions for disobedience. It's instilling a mindset of a man to have control over himself. You know, it tells you that in the book of Proverbs. You know what I'm saying? That if a man has no rule over his ruach, he's like a city with the walls broken down. So it is imperative on the man to instill discipline in his household, to instill it into his wife, to instill it into his children. And if your children lack discipline, then it's the man's fault. It's never the woman's fault. It's your fault as a man. That means 9 times out of 10, you're undisciplined. You know what I'm saying? And if you're undisciplined, then Yah is just giving you back what you've given to him. You know what I'm saying? It's simple as that. And I've been telling y'all that for years. Whatever it is, how your relationship is with Yah, with how what you do or what you don't do, and you have children, then Yahuwah in his righteousness and his goodness will manifest your behavior through your children, so you can see how big of a hypocrite you are. You know what I'm saying? Straight up and down. So if your children are undisciplined and you're frustrated, then you need to look at your level of discipline as a man. Don't look at your wife. Because if your wife undisciplined, that's your fault too. Because you the head, you the leader. That's your job to get her disciplined. That ain't her job. You know what I'm saying? That's your job to set that standard. It's not her job. You know what I'm saying? If you're looking for a woman to come in disciplined, you're living in a fantasy world. Why would he set the man as the head if the woman was going to come in already disciplined to begin with? Yasharal didn't come in disciplined. I mean that, but discipline is just self-control. You know what I'm saying? So it's making a conscious decision. Because you can read the scripts all day long, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be disciplined. You take the scripts that are given unto you and you use them. See, that's the whole key thing. You have to go past reading and you have to do it. You know what I'm saying? But discipline is self-control. It's the ability to not indulge in self-aggrandizement or gratification. Discipline is the ability to know that you have a particular task and that you're going to get this particular task accomplished, irregardless of how you feel at that particular moment. A lot of people don't do things based on how they feel, and that is not a masculine way to do things. You're not going to feel like doing things a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? But if they need to be done, you need to get up and do it. That's discipline. You know what I'm saying? We can pull up the Webster's dictionary word definition of discipline, but the word in our language is musar. It's really just that simple. And this chastening is rebuke. You know, you don't want to be capricious, man. You don't want to be changing moods on a regular basis. You know, your moods can change, but your actions should not be dictated by your mood. It's just the practice of training of people to obey rules or a code of behavior. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Simple as that. It's just the practice of obeying your not even say more your values, your code of conduct. You know what I'm saying? That's what lacks in our household. You know what I'm saying? As I told you before, there's no such thing as Hebraic culture. Your culture comes from heaven. Everything from your culture comes from heaven. And your Elohim is an Elohim of discipline and of judgment. Do you know what I'm saying? He has a code. You train your children to live by that code. Period. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. You know what I'm saying? It's really just that simple. It's just a code. It's a culture. You know what I'm saying? Your culture is from heaven. When you don't have discipline and you don't have a culture, then you have a people who are reckless. You know what I'm saying? That's what we see amongst our people. Because we don't have our Elohim and we don't have his word and we don't have his Torah. So, and when I say word, I'm referring to his son, then you don't have a culture because that is your culture. It comes from heaven. See, let's keep saying that. Come over here to Colossians chapter 3, right? And then we'll go to Matthew 6 while we hold in Ephesians chapter 5. Colossians chapter 3, right? Listen what it says. Colossians 3:1. It says, if you then be risen with a Mashiach, seek those things which are above, where Mashiach sit on the right hand of Elohim. Set your affections on things above and not on things on the earth. For you are dead and your life is hid with a Mashiach and Elohim. When a Mashiach, who is our life, shall appear, then you shall also appear with him in esteem. So Paul is just telling you that you set your affection on the things in heaven because everything that you desire is above. Now let's take a look at Matthew chapter 6, and then I want to go to Exodus 33, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm just using this to show the aspect that our culture it's not Hebraic because a Hebrew didn't come up with it. Elohim came up with it. And it's just a mindset thing. Because if you get stuck on Hebraic, and you're giving your culture over to man, your culture is not of man. Your culture is from heaven. It's of Shamahim. The word of Elohim endures forever and can never be destroyed. When you have that level of understanding and knowing, then you seek the things that are above like you've been instructed. And when you seek the things that are above, then you begin to dictate yourself by the heavenly discipline, which was imparted by discipline. After this manner, therefore, pray. Our Abba, which art in Shamahim, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done in earth as it is in heaven. So his will is to be done in earth as it is in heaven, because his will is accomplished in heaven. That is where your culture comes from. Let's go to Exodus 33 and see. This is where your culture comes from. See, you in a deep sleep because you walk around, you done let sleep fall on your eyelid, so you sleeping on your Elohim. You ain't sleeping on no Hebraicness. I don't care about being Hebraic. That's not my objective nor my goal. My objective and goal is to become a son of Elohim. I can't have an objective of goal of becoming Hebraic because I was born that way. You know what I'm saying? I'm not returning to a Hebraic culture. I'm returning to my Elohim. So if I'm returning to my Elohim, that means I'm returning to his culture. His culture is from heaven. A culture ain't nothing but a way of living. You know what I'm saying? And his way of living is that's why you don't see him use the word culture. It's why you see him use instruction. Here discipline, here chastening. Hear your culture, hear your code of conduct and set of rules of which you ought to live by. And this stuff comes from heaven. Simple as that. What else have? What I want in this chapter. I don't think that words are contained in this particular chapter. Let me see. I feel like it is, and I'm looking right at it. And it is. We need to go over to chapter 34. That is my mistake. Exodus chapter 34, right? 34 and 8. Or matter of fact, take that back. 34 and 1. And Yahuwah said unto Moses, hew 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and I will write upon these tables the words that were in the first tables which you broke. and be ready in the morning and come up in the morning unto Mount Sinai and present yourself there to me in the top of the mount. And no man shall come up with you, neither let man be seen throughout all the mount, neither let the flock nor herds feed before that mount. And he hewed 2 tables of stone like unto the first. And Moses rose up early in the morning and went up on the Mount Sinai as Yahuwah commanded him. And he took in his hand the 2 tables of stone. So notice that Yahuwah said, I will write on these tables. So the words that are on these tables come from heaven. So that's where your culture, your discipline, and things of that nature come from. We can pull up the English definition of culture. Like I said, the word culture, it's not in the text. I don't recall ever reading it in the text, but we can see the word discipline is used in the word one time, and we'll go check that out real quick. The word culture is definitely not in this book. The word culture means the arts or manifestations of human intellectual achievement, or the custom, art, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or social group. And I've told you before, the only time that we ever say that something is a part of Black culture deals with entertainment, and that just ought to disgust you. You know what I'm saying? That your culture ain't nothing but singing and dancing and buck jiving, and you cool with that? That's not a code of conduct, a way to live. Because you dress a certain way and use a certain type of slang, and that's satisfactory. You're cool with that. That means you know that you've been mentally destroyed as an individual. That a person has made you satisfied that your culture can't be nothing but singing, dancing, and playing sports. Because anytime these niggas in these days and time talk about some Black culture, that's all these niggas ever talking about. Culture is not arts and entertainment. Culture is how a group of people live. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you know, where you could go to Job 36:10. You know, with wrestling, World Wrestling Federation or entertainment, whatever you want to call it, they just went over there to the Middle East to put on a show. These people are paying them hundreds of millions of dollars to put on a show. Now, that's not to say that these people are righteous, but you know, the people got upset because the female wrestlers are not allowed to wrestle on the show in Saudi Arabia. They will not allow it. You know, women just were allowed to drive cars. Now, the reason why that's the case in that particular country is that they will not allow a woman to move about freely, because if they perceive that a massive amount of chaos will ensue if a woman is left to her own devices to move about freely and do as she pleases. You know what I'm saying? That's why you don't see that there. And the reason why I mention this here, because see, in America, they tell a woman that a man is her oppressor, because it's Yah's ordained will that a man rule over his wife. So they say, because a man is your head and your leader, that's oppression to the woman. Therefore, manipulating in the woman to be in the constant competition and battle with her man. And this is why you see disharmony, more specifically amongst our people, because our people have bought this hook, line, and sinker, when that particular objective in reality and theory had absolutely nothing to do with you. And it could have been stopped, but Caucasian men decided not to stop it. You know what I'm saying? Now, I told you before, you can't really allow an emotive creature to set policy and to set culture and standards, because chaos will ensue. And that's why you see that when you see that with a lot of men who are leaders of households who are emotional, because they are emotional, they can't set standards and policies in the household. And that's why you see a lot of chaos ensue, because they are emotional. A man has no business being emotional, because you're supposed to be calming the woman because she is emotional. And if she looks at you and see that you are emotional, then she knows that you have no control over yourself and that the entire house is unstable. That does not mean that a man cannot have emotions and can't feel. That means you can't behave and act like a woman and be triggered by your emotions. I just had this conversation the other day, man, with somebody, period. If someone, and I was legit, So this is the main reason why I told him this here, because my big homie told me this a long time ago, and several more people through the course of my lifetime told me this as well. A person should never be able to get a reaction out of you based off words. If an individual can trigger a negative reaction out of you, that means that they have power over you, and in reality, you are a weak person. Period, point blank. You're a weak man. If another man or another woman can trigger you to the point where you lose all control of yourself. And as a man, there's no excuse for that type of behavior. And you can't lay that at the other person's feet. You have to take accountability and say, that's on me. But that's what discipline, that's an act of discipline, because someone would teach you that. So because you were taught that, and this is one of the reasons why when you see they came at Yahoo Shop, because you could some of this stuff in Proverbs, or when these people were trying to trigger him and saying certain things to him, and he didn't say nothing back. Yeah, Kira, yeah, that's what it is. Because I remember that. I was talking to it. I never forget that, man. My big homie told me that off the top. You don't never let nobody dictate how you react. Ever. You know what I'm saying? Ever. He said that's weakness. That person has power over you. You know what I'm saying? And that's a true story. And then that's why I shared that with y'all when Tracy Morgan was talking about that. See, that's conflict resolution. See, you should be able to have the ability to resolve conflicts and disagreements without getting emotional. If you can't resolve conflicts and disagreements without being elevated into manhood, you are still a male because you're still operating emotionally. Do you know what I'm saying? You can have a disagreement and a conflict without it elevating to the point where violence or things of that nature will come about. If that comes about, that person has, because when you do that, you're showing the other person what they need to do to get you off of your square. And once I can get you off of that, then I can push you and move you in whatever direction I want you to do, because you're off balance. You're not in control of yourself. So you don't even realize that. That's what we were talking about with them putting that out with that Central Park 5. That's emotional manipulation. Because if I know you're emotionally unstable, then I know what to put out there to trigger you. I know if I put a story about niggas going to prison for something they didn't do, or put a video out about the police killing niggas, you niggas going to react emotionally. Because you react emotionally, and because you're emotionally and mentally immature, I can do you like a good grade A offensive lineman. I can put my hands in your jersey plate, on your shoulder pad plate, and I can move you where I want to move you. And you're going to go wherever I take you, and you're going to like it. Because ain't nothing you gonna do about it, because you gave your leverage or your power over to me, because you allowed me to dictate your emotional or mental reaction. Do you know what I'm saying? And as a man, you can't let that happen. You can't let no one trigger you. Not as no man. I literally just had a conversation with Nick about it. That was I said, you're triggered. I said, you're only triggered because you're being held accountable. And because you don't want to be held accountable, now you're reacting emotionally. Accountability triggered you. Now, if I was a nasty nigga, I could take your emotional reaction and do to you whatever I want to do to you. Because now I see what I can do to get you emotional. Never let anyone get you emotional. Because then they got power over you. They can do whatever they want to. You take this a game if you want to. Study history and see if it's a joke or a game. Study it. Take the time to read something other than your Facebook feed. I'm trying to tell you. And you'll see that. Anytime any major conflicts have ever occurred in the history of mankind, there was something done to get an emotional reaction out of people. Once I get an emotional why you think you niggas be trying to get your old lady all emotional when you want? Why you think your woman come and do certain stuff, try to butter you up? You know what I'm saying? Why you think your kids do that? Like, you gotta be you're a man. You're supposed to be a three-dimensional thinker. You're supposed to see things before they happen. You're supposed to peek that. You're supposed to see that. You know what I'm saying? Most of us don't see it because no man taught us to it. You know what I'm saying? The only discipline niggas want to teach is give you a basketball and a football. You do your child a disservice sending him to be a monkey in a minstrel show. You know what I'm saying? You do him a disservice. Rushing him to be an athlete. For what? For what? Because you had dreams of it. You know what I'm saying? They did me like that when I was a jit, because I was a hefty young man. Oh, he gonna play football. Nigga, what made you think I wanted to play football? Why are you limiting my abilities and my contribution to society by playing football? Why would you disrespect me like that? Of all the things you said I could do, why is that the first thing you niggas come to me with? I didn't understand that as a child. I'm more than being able to play football. Why would you limit me in that type of fashion? Nigga, I don't even want to play this game. I like to watch it, nigga. I don't want to do it. And I don't appreciate you limiting me to that. Never understood that, man. You know what I'm saying? I understand, but when I say understand is why do we feel like that's all we can do? Why is that all we want to push our children to? Why is it that the only thing you want to do is send them to college for 4 years to be massively in debt to get a job that won't even allow them to pay off the debt and think that's success? Because someone caught an emotional reaction out of you and told you this is what you were supposed to do and you bought it. Now they got control over you because your emotions are going to be dictated by their level of success standard of which they imparted unto you, and they did it to you in an emotional fashion. And you don't have the perspective to realize what they're doing. All this is not being ignorant of your enemy's devices. If you're not ignorant of the devices, then you know what they're doing, and it doesn't allow you to have an emotional reaction. But when you're not aware, then hey, what can I say? What we at? Ephesians chapter 5. I'm not trying to give you some game.
Job.
Yeah, appreciate you. Job 36 and 10. I'm not trying to give you some game, man. You can do what you want to with it. You might feel like, man, that nigga don't know what he's talking about, and I surely don't, if that's how you feel. Make that about 36 and 5, you feel me? Let me get that word up there for you. If I ever could be so kind. You know, I appreciate the nigga took their time to tell me a thing or two about a thing or two, because they definitely didn't have to. But they definitely did. And I definitely appreciated them for it. 36 and 5, right? Behold, Elohim is mighty. He despised not any. He definitely don't. He is mighty in strength and wisdom. He preserve not the life of the wicked, but give right to the poor. He will draw not his eyes from the righteous. Y'all didn't remember that. That's dead clear. He definitely don't. His eyes on the righteous every day. Better know it. He said, but with kings are they on the throne? Yea, he do establish them forever. They are exalted. And if they be bound in fetters and holding in cords of affliction, he showed them their work and their transgression that they have exceeded. He opened also their ear to discipline and command that they return from iniquity. And y'all know what the word for discipline is here. Ain't nothing but musar. That's all it is. That beam, that ooh, that's a mark and that rosh, if my memory serves me correctly off the top of my head. That's all it is. He said, if they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity and their years in pleasure. But if they obey not, they shall perish with the sword and they shall die without knowledge. But the hypocrites in heart heap up wrath. They cry not when he bind them. See, that's what happens when you don't want the discipline. Look what he told you, right? He said, I hit you with a little bit of affliction, a little furnace of affliction, bound in fetters. You know, they took Yahusha, put the cuffs on, just like they did Samson. You know what I'm saying? And then he showed them their transgressions and where they exceeded. But he showed them your transgressions and where you exceeded. Because Yahusha obeyed and served him. That's why he sit at the right hand of the Father with days and prosperity. But for you niggas, let his blood be on our children's children. He said, I'm going to kill the sword. That's why he coming back on a white horse with a sword. You know what I'm talking about? Treading the wine press of the wrath of the Almighty Elohim. For niggas who don't like to listen. For niggas who don't like to listen. See, you got, huh?
I read that. I thought about Manasseh.
So yeah, he was disciplined. He listened. He obeyed. He took his chastening. He did. But I got to set this rule of conduct because you were bucking the rules.
And he knew
He knew who he was. You bucking the rules. That's why y'all say I punish you of all the families of the earth, because I know you, because I gave you the culture. I gave you the rules and conduct. I gave you the structure and you bucked me. So why am I going to go chastise and discipline these people over here? That's why your people say they don't live in my house. That's why your people say you ain't got to stay. This is my house, is my rules. You know what I'm saying? You're going to follow my rules in my house because I set the standard in this house. See, a lot of y'all, when you heard that, you wanted to buck, because in reality, you were rebellious, didn't want you wanted to live by your own code of conduct. You know what I'm saying? And you can't have no mind. You can't do what you want to do in your father's house. That's why someone say, I'm going to get my own house. And y'all say, you can't get your own house. And it's going to be where the worm dies not. And the fire shall not be quenched. You can live there all you want. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta have that level of understanding to see those things. See, when you living by the ruach, you can never be triggered emotionally because you wouldn't be living by your emotions. Your emotions would be crucified with your affections and lusts. That wouldn't happen. That's why we were talking about that, man. Niggas say whatever they want to say. See, the biggest problem with black people is we don't like to hear things that are factual. You know what I'm saying? That's when we were discussing that. Like, if you see a story about niggas going to jail and you say that's a horror film and you know the word and that offends you, you mad at Yahuwah. You ain't mad at them white folk. They ain't no horror. It's a horror story because you can't believe Yahuwah did you like that because you don't like to listen, because you don't like to obey, because you don't like to take correction. That's what you're really saying if you know the word, right or wrong. Because you supposed to know the word. That ain't supposed to bother you. He told you that was going to happen. Did he not tell you that was going to happen? Did he not tell you in Deuteronomy 28, you'll wake up and say, oh God, was it morning? Oh God, was it evening? For the terror of which your eyes would see. He said, you'll run one way and your enemies will come another, and 7 will flee from 1,000. Well, 1 will flee from 1,000. See, y'all supposed to be more spiritually, mentally, and emotionally mature than that to allow anyone to manipulate you in such a fashion. But if you utter those words, then I would be forced to tell you that you are emotionally, mentally, and spiritually immature. And it is what it is. The question is not to get offended. What you gonna do about it? That's the question. What you gonna do about it? You gonna kick and fight and say you're not? Or you gonna dig down deep and grow and mature as an individual to where nothing of this world can have that level of sway over your mind, over your ruach, and over your emotions? All it is there's certain stuff that occur, and I'll bring it up just to see where y'all at spiritually. You know what I'm saying? Like, straight up, just to see where you at. Are you moving with the mind of a Mashal, or are you still moving with the mind of a man? Because some of you at this point, you should have the mind of God in your head if you believe the word like you say you do. Because you should be seeing things through his eyes, not yours. That's why I told you, who cares what you feel? I feel. Nigga, that's what women say. Grown man ain't got no talking about what he feel. You ain't no woman, nigga. You know what I'm talking about? How you gonna lead a household based off what you feel? You can't do that, man. You're a man. But you know why we don't know that? Because ain't nobody never told us that. Ain't nobody ever told us that. I'm talking about ain't no man ever came and told us that through word and action. Ain't nobody ever came and told you that. So when somebody come and tell you that, you get offended because you think you done figured out what it is to be a man, but our viewpoint of being a man is skewed because it's been given to us from a female perspective. Because most of the men who were giving it to us, they were giving it to us from a female perspective. Who that gave that from them? You can notice that niggas who were raised by strong men move different. They do things different. They behave different. You know what I'm saying? And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. That's why you live in a society that wants men to be more emotional. Because when they want you to be more, then you're emasculated. You're not moving as a man. Therefore, you can't properly lead and direct. You know what I'm saying? And I've been noticing that for years, even before the word. Because remember, I'm a little older than everybody else, so I've seen the culture change. As far as America is concerned, I've seen the change. It wasn't cool to be masculine. I started noticing it in prison when I'm like, yo, why these niggas wearing these little behind pants? You know what I'm saying? Like, nigga, I get jammed up in 04, you know what I'm saying? And I might be locked up, but we got a little TV, little magazines. I'm noticing the change. I'm like, what's up with that? I'm like, this what you niggas wearing on the street? Oh, man, that's that. I said, well, I can't get down with that. You know what I'm saying? Get out. I see it more. It's fruity out here. You know, it's studs everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I've seen dykes before, but not this many dykes. You know what I'm saying? I ain't ever seen this many punks walking around open. You know what I'm saying? Niggas dressing like women. Niggas acting like, when did this? I ain't been gone that long. 4 years is a long time, but it's not a long time. You know what I'm saying? Just a long time, but 4.5 years is long, but it ain't that long. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, boy, I don't belong.
It's definitely a change.
You know what I'm saying? And it make you feminine. And you don't realize that. You don't realize that. You got to get your, well, they used to say that back in the 80s and 90s. You got to get in touch with your feminine side. I'm like, nigga, I ain't no woman. You know what I'm saying? So What I want to do that for? I don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? Now you want me to be homemade. And for what? You know what I'm saying? But it was a lot of things, man. I just questioned. Stuff just bothered me. Like I said, the stuff when I was little, like, why I gotta play sports? Why I gotta do that? Like, I never understood niggas with the light skin, dark skin thing. That never meant nothing to me. If they were pretty, they were pretty, regardless of their skin tone. Didn't really matter. You know what I'm saying? Didn't make sense to me. But that's because I didn't learn those things in my household. You know what I'm saying? See, a lot of things of our worldview is going to be set up on how you were taught. You know what I'm saying? And when you're secure and confident in yourself, I've been telling y'all this for years, it makes people not like you. And it makes people not want to be around you. It magnifies their insecurities. Come on back to Ephesians chapter 5. See, I tell y'all these things and go over some of these things for us to learn who we are so you can be secure in who you are, but most importantly, to be secure in your God. When that happens, you don't really care what goes on around you. It's not going to be a factor for you, what's going on around you and what, other people are doing or not doing. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 7. Look what he told you. And we read this earlier in Proverbs as well. He said, be you not therefore partakers with them. Don't roll with sinners. This man said, what you running with them for? See, and there's many places in the text. See, we think that's a suggestion. But he's telling you that for a reason. Because these people are going to corrupt you. And it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. You know what I'm saying? And you can believe and feel how you want to feel. But as I've said before, and I'll say it again, if you niggas better than King Solomon, then I know you going to hell. Because if King Solomon got God, nigga, what make you think you can't get God? And he was way wiser than one of us. Matter of fact, he could take all us on this stream, in this house. I'm talking about 17 niggas around the corner. Matter of fact, this whole zip code. And we couldn't equal up to the wisdom of King Solomon. Let that be known. You know what I'm talking about? I don't care what you niggas talking about. If you that arrogant and proud to say that, oh, it wouldn't happen to me, and it happened to King Solomon, you ought to go to hell on the first thing smoke. You know what I'm talking about? Straight up and down, because that's arrogancy and pride, and you who will hate that. I'm not proud enough to say, it ain't gonna happen to me. But King Solomon got God. Come on, man. Can't be that simple. He said, for you were sometime darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as sons of light. For the fruit of the Ruach is in all goodness and righteousness and truth, proving what is acceptable unto the Lord. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. For it is a shame even to speak of those things which are done of them in secret, but all things that are reproved are made manifest by the light. For whatsoever do make manifest is light. Wherefore he say, awake you that sleep, and arise from the dead, and a Mashal shall give you life. See, that's why you ain't got no business being asleep, because you're dead. You're dead in trespasses and sins. You're dead in the world. You're living contrary. He said, but if you awake, the Mashal can give you everlasting life, because in him was light, and the light was the life of men. Let me read that Proverbs 6 again to you, right? Proverbs 6, don't get no sleep to your eyes, nor slumber to your eyelids. You ain't got no business closing your eyes for sleep till it's time for you to hit the grave and go to sleep with your fathers. That's the only. Don't you notice that during the take what they say? They don't never say they go to sleep with their mothers, though. Say they go to sleep with their fathers. Because that's just how it is. I mean, the reason why I mention that is you have to know how y'all set the thing up, how it to roll. If you do it how it's supposed to roll, as I said before, it's a manifestation of the kingdom of heaven on earth. On earth. But it takes the man to stand up and be a man and handle that, though. You know what I'm saying? That jump made me think about something that we did about 6-7 years ago for a brother when he was going through it with this woman, man. And that's what we like, stand up and be a man. You have to be a man. You know what I'm saying? And being a man is not ruling with deleteriously. It's not ruling with rigor. It's not. And deleterious means to cause damage or do harm. You know what I'm saying? So you're not seeking to, matter of fact, pause. Colossians chapter 4. So it's Colossians 3. My apologies. 3 and 18. Because you ain't got to remember, we talked about that. If you're gonna rule, you gotta be just. And the fear of Elohim. If you respect and reverence your Elohim, you're not gonna treat your wife like an animal, like a second-class citizen. But that's why a lot of people in this modern time don't like the word. Oh, you're talking about submission, you're oppressing, this, that, and the third, and that's nonsense. That's really, see, a lot of women in this culture hate men because they really just hate Yahuwah. So when they hear those things, it's their hatred for Yahuwah. So because they hate Yahuwah, they hate his order, his culture, his standard. You know what I'm saying? They hate what he has constructed. You know what I'm talking about? So that's why they don't want the man to move in that fashion. Because I'm gonna just keep it hot, man. If you didn't know, now you know. These people, gods are sex cults. They into freaky, ungodly, defiling things. You know, Baal like to get freaky. You know what I'm talking about? See, we were talking about it last night. See, a lot of women walk away from the word because the word demands discipline, and a lot of women don't want it. It demands it, and a lot of women don't want that. A lot of women don't want to be led in a fashion of where their desires are quenched, that they can't do what they want to do, and that they will never be the number one priority in a man's life. Your woman should never be number one. If your woman is number one, you are a certified simp and an idiot, because Yahuwah should be number one. Your wife should never come before Yahuwah, ever, in no circumstance. You know what I'm talking about? You put your wife before Yahuwah, nigga, you need to untuck your nuts, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Because something is clearly wrong with you. And as a woman, you shouldn't want a nigga who will put you before Yahuwah. How this man gonna be able to love and lead you properly and he putting you? Nigga, that's backwards and retarded. You know what I'm talking about? Nigga, you don't put your children before Yahuwah. Y'all know what Luke 14 and 26 say. You got to hate your father, mother, sister, brother, children, wife, and your own life also. But you don't never put nobody before Yahuwah. Don't let these cornball liberal niggas out here in this earth tell you your wife should come first. Nigga, you's a buster and a sucker. You put your wife for your God. That woman your God, she got power over you. Nigga, you ain't no man. Nigga, that's dumb. Nigga, don't put your mammy, your pappy, don't put nobody before Yahuwah, man. Period. Don't do it. You know what I'm saying? If these people want to come before Yahuwah, these people don't love you. You don't need them. Let them go. And it ain't just about, it's more so about somebody who wants you to forsake your responsibilities and duties to your Elohim. See, when somebody wants you to forsake your responsibilities and duties to your Elohim, that means they want to be your number one priority and come before your Elohim. They got to go. Them people don't care nothing about you. Shoot, and if you let them convince you, you don't care about yourself. That means you ain't securing your Elohim. Need to check yourself. Colossians 3 and 18. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as it is fit in the Lord. Husbands, love your wives and be not bitter against them. Children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well pleasing unto the Lord. Fathers, provoke not your children to anger, lest they be discouraged. Notice it didn't say nothing about the mother provoking the children to anger. Because why would the mother be doing that? Doesn't make sense for her to do it. Now I'm gonna just pull these words out, pause on what they mean in the Greek, because it's always good to know what it says when we say be not bitter against your wife. That Greek word for bitter is pekrino, to visit, to grieve or deal bitterly with, irritate, render anger, to be indigent, or to exasperate. So you don't have any business, husbands, don't irritate your wife. Don't grieve her and deal bitterly with her. And don't deal with her in anger. That's what that means. You got no business doing that. When he tell you, fathers, provoke not your children. We'll see the Greek word for provoke. It is erethezo. It means to stimulate or to stir up. You know what I'm saying? Don't be doing stuff just to try your turn. And definitely don't do nothing don't be dealing with your right. That's not the way of Yahuwah. Yeah, the man has an order, and a structure, and a discipline that you're supposed to be a representative of Elohim. But like I say, Elohim is also an Elohim of discipline. And a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people don't like discipline and accountability. What that meme I shared the other day, when say you usually see people that say positive vibes only, are usually people who don't want any accountability. You know what I'm saying? Because usually they look at that, and that's how a woman mind works. That's how a child mind works. It works in an emotional fashion. They despise the accountability because they want to do what they feel. See, these are not to cast aspersions. It's just for you to understand human behavior. See, the problem what we get at, because you live in a society, and if you say certain things, people get offended when you're just highlighting human behavior. Human behavior is human behavior. The text highlights that a woman's nature, that her heart is like snares and nets and her hands are like bands. So if I say that and expound on that, and you got a problem with that, you got a problem with Yahuwah, because he the one who I learned it from. Because he's telling you this woman's mind is a trap. She's going to try to trap you into doing things that you ought not. That's why he say those that please Elohim will escape from her, but the sinner won't. So a woman who's actually a good woman, you know what I'm saying? Good woman, according to the text, a virtuous woman, a righteous woman, that doesn't apply to her. And a good scenario that I was given last night when, dudes was like, hey, man, it's more women in the earth than men. So clearly, a man could marry 2, 3, 4 women. But in reality, how many of those women or men are righteous? And when you really look at it right there, it kind of narrows down the pool. And really, it's going to be a 1-for-1 type of deal. Because a lot of dudes are not as righteous as they say they be. And a lot of women definitely are not. A lot of people live in self-delusions. You think you're better than what you are. Your conduct is not commiserate with your profession. Nevertheless, Proverbs chapter 6. But that's what it means when we look at it, Proverbs 6, and he's telling you not to give you sleep to your eyes or slumber to your eyelids, man. When you in sin, you in deep sleep. Stop sinning. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of sins, but it is what it is. It's because you've been ready to be emotional. So, and I'm not saying you specifically, but dude's been ready to be emotional. So it comes down to the fact of you have to reject that mindset. And when you reject that mindset, then you can begin to navigate and move in the fashion that you want to move. People just don't like strong people. You know what I'm saying? Because it's usually a manifestation of where they're lacking at. And you know what I'm saying? A lot of women don't like strong men, or they seek to try to destroy them. But that's from the miseducation in the society of which we live in. That's where the root of that comes from. You know what I'm saying? The woman is going to move in the ways of the culture in which she lives. This particular culture in the United States of America, Western civilization, allows her to do whatever she wants to do. So because she can do whatever she wants to do, that's why you see the chaos that you see on a day-to-day basis. You know what I'm saying? Because she can do whatever she wants to do. And that's not the way that it's supposed to be. It's not how Yahuwah said it. You know what I'm saying? That's going to cause chaos. And why it's going to cause chaos? Not because it's a woman per se. It's because they are emotional creatures. And emotions are a chaotic thing because they constantly are in flux. They constantly change. You can't get a grasp on that. So therefore, you can't get anything solid or concrete with that to build anything on. It's not necessarily that women are more evil than men, because people are evil, period. But what you're referring to is probably what's in Ecclesiasticus, where it talks about give me any wickedness other than the wickedness of a woman. Ecclesiasticus goes in a little bit harder, but a wicked woman and a wicked man, if you had to choose the one or the other to deal with, you would probably want to deal with a wicked man over a wicked woman. Because when a woman is wicked, she's a special kind of wicked. Because she attacks different than a man attacks. And that's it. They just attack different. Yeah, you don't want nothing to do with no wicked woman. Chapter 6, verse 5. They on par now. It's neck and neck. It's not like one is leap light years ahead of the other. But at the end of the day, what that wicked man or woman will have in common is one thing, that they're carnal and emotional. And it's really the carnality, which is the wickedness. It's just like I said, that woman is going to execute that carnality in a way different fashion. Because when she's coming in for the kill. You know what I'm talking about? She's coming in to kill a lot differently. A man may come in to do some wickedness to you, and he's probably going to try to eliminate you physically. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That woman is going to come in, and if she can pull it off, she will want to harm you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and lastly, physically. She's going to want to destroy you all the way across the board. That is why it is not good to get on the bad side of a wicked woman. You don't want them problems. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you don't want them problems. That's why it's best that if you identify that a woman is wicked, leave that whore alone. You know what I'm talking about? Get missing. See, for a woman, it's different. If you come across and you see that nigga wicked, you need to leave that nigga alone, because he's going to end up causing you emotional distress. You know what I'm saying? And because of that emotional distress, it can send that woman into a tailspin. Because a godly woman is the most beautiful thing that you could ever lay your eyes on the face of this earth, without question. Do you know what I'm talking about? See, I'm not talking, and see, like I said, like he tell you in Proverbs chapter 6 as well, don't lust after a woman's beauty with your eyelids. You can see a woman who's a beautiful face, nice shape, you know what I'm saying? All that there. But a godly woman is the most beautiful thing on the face of this earth. A woman who possesses wisdom and understanding of the ways and doings and righteousness and judgments of the living Elohim is a rare treasure that ought to be cherished and honored. You know what I'm saying? As long as she has breath in her lungs, you know what I'm saying? She will complement a godly man to the fullness, and the manifestation of the kingdom of heaven will be seen, and that she will be praised everywhere she goes, like the book says she will. You know what I'm saying? Because of her conduct, because of her heart and the way that she operates. It's a beautiful thing to see. You know what I'm saying? And it's so rare, that's why it's so beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Special breed. It ain't a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? Proverbs 6 and 5. Deliver yourself as a roe from the hand of the hunter, and as a bird from the hand of the fowler. So when we look at this fowler, right, the word is yakush. It is a trapper or a bait layer. So when he's telling you to deliver yourself as a roe, we'll pull all the words out, pause. You know what I'm saying? So let's look. Let's look at deliver yourself. First off, you should be familiar with the word deliver. It's the saw. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? Noon, side of Lamar, to deliver, to rescue. Now, a roe is like a gazelle. You know what I'm saying? But also something that is beauty, honor. But y'all know what a gazelle is. It's basically like a deer, fast deer. You want to get up out of there fast. You know what I'm saying? But of course, hand, and then of the hunter as a bird, but it's just simply bird. So deliver yourself as a roe from the hand of the bird, from the hand of the fowler. Like I said, that's yakush, fowler, trapper, bait layer. You got the yard, the koof, the the shan, and it's the final word secures a consumption. But now we have to look at the bait layer, which is clearly, y'all should know what that is, right? The bait layer, trapper. Some of y'all ever bear trapped? I ain't never bear trapped. You ever seen a bear trap in person? I ain't never seen one either. I mean, I was in prison, man. They had us out there at Appalachian State Park. I said, yeah, man, there's bears out here. I said, what? He said, you ain't got to worry about it. They're not going to do anything to you. I said, I'm going to get in the truck, cuz. He said, what? I said, yeah, man, I ain't doing nothing out here. You said bears out here, cuz. He was like, no, we got. I said, hey, man, I can go to the box. You know what I'm saying? You lost me when you said bears. You know what I'm talking about? It's over with. You know what I'm talking about? One thing for certain, two things for sure. The people said it's me to 5 years. You understand? So November 30th, 2009, y'all gotta let me go regardless. I'll do the whole 5. Shoot, I'm finna do the whole 5 anyway. I gotta do 51 on 60. What's another 9 months? You know what I'm saying? That's how I seen it. Bears. Bro, I'm not on that. I'm not on that. You know what I'm talking about? All that being scared to go to the box. Shoot, room service me, my niggas. You know what I'm talking about? I'm out. That crack ain't do nothing. You letting it chill. Bears? No, sir. No, sir. Jose tried to say no, sir. Tell your mammy go get in there with a belt. Shoot, we was out the cut one day. Them snakes when it coming out. Look that cracker wet bear in the face. I say it's over, man. He said, "What you talking about?" I said, "Boy, snakes out here, boy." He said, "No, you'll be straight." I know I'm going straight in the truck. You can do what you gotta do. Cause I just did what I'm gonna do. It's over. I'm talking about straight up. You know what I'm talking about? Shoot, ain't nothing you can say change my mind. You can call the people with that van, come pick me up if you like. But either way it go, it's over. You know what I'm talking about? Ooh, you play them type of games. Told one of them crack that tongue. I said, "Look here, cuz." They say I got high blood pressure. I ain't even supposed to be out here in the heat on this medication they got me on. I looked at crack dead in the face. I said, "Let me tell you something." I said, "Let me give you a comparison." I said, "You worrying me about not wearing a white t-shirt under this blue shirt." I said, "Now if I fall out and have a stroke," I said, "my sister gonna have to teach me how to walk again." I say, "Now let's weigh it in the balance. Stroke, box. Stroke, box. Box wins, nigga. Do what you gotta do." And he was shocked, but this particular CO, all these niggas was scared of this crack because he always threatened to lock niggas up. I'm like, "Crack, I'm already locked up." You know what I'm talking about? Don't lock me up. I'm already locked up, nigga. What? Because I could walk around on your little compound and come out here and work for free? Shoot. That crack was shocked. I cussed that crack out and all, man. And broke it down. I literally told him, like, "Yo, my sister's going to have to teach me how to walk again if I have a stroke." Yeah, I think I don't care. You know what I'm saying? You can't have no fear. You gotta stand on your convictions, man, even in the face of consequences, if that's what you want. You know what I'm saying? That's what I was on. I'm not dying for you. You know what I'm saying? I don't care nothing about that. My EOS date is November 30th, 2009. He said 5 years. In my mind, I can do the whole 5. You know what I'm saying? That's it. And I'm not gonna compromise my manhood or my integrity to not lose 10 days worth of game time or not to go to confinement. You know what I'm saying? I'm going. It's not anything about being hard or being rebellious. No, I'm not. See, that's why and I mentioned that a lot of people take it that when you stand for something, they take it that you're being a douche. You know what I'm saying? Or you're being rebellious when you're standing on your principles and you're being a man. When you're a man, you gotta stand on what you believe is correct in the face of all opposition. I'm sorry I missed that comment, so I don't know what you're referring to. You're gonna have to let me know why you asked that. Great question. Oh, okay, I get you. No, you can't conform. Believe it in Yahushua, you can't conform. You can never conform. He tell you that in Romans 12. Don't conform to the world. You know what I'm saying? You can't conform. The only thing you should be conforming to is the image of His Son. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing you need to be conforming to. 6 and 5 or Jose, man. That's all I mentioned. Now you gotta stand on for, and of course, I ain't believing nothing back then. You know what I'm saying? As far as something concrete. But if I had something that I felt like was right or wrong, then I'm riding with that, and I could care less what's gonna happen. I'm not worrying about no I could go to the box. You know what I'm saying? That's whole stuff, man. Just talking to him about that other day, man. He's talking like a hoe, man. He's talking like a loser. You know what I'm saying? Losers always look at what can go wrong. A winner's always going to look at what could go right. I'm prepared for what can go wrong, but I'm more so looking at what positively can happen. I'm not focusing on what the negative is. That's what losers do. You know what I'm saying? Ain't none of y'all no losers. That's just like saying, but what if I slip and I sin? Why you even think about sinning? Why you even think about slipping? It's not the mind of a winner. Yahushua wasn't sitting right here thinking, what if I sin? Had that type of mind. His mind was set on, I'm gonna obey my Father. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna complete this work. You know what I'm saying? Everything by mindset, you got to change the way you think. You change the way you think, you change your outcomes. You know what I'm saying? You're coming into things with the wrong mindset, so you're going to lose. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's an inevitability. It's not an if, it's a when. Change the way you think. Proverbs 6:5. Therefore, I've hewed them by the prophets, and I've slain them by the words of my mouth. And your judgments are as the light that go forth. For I desired mercy and not sacrifice, and the knowledge of Elohim more than burnt offerings. But they, like men, have transgressed the covenant, and they have dealt treacherously against me. Gilead is a city of them that work iniquity and is polluted with blood. And as troop of robbers wait for a man. So the company of priests murder in the way by consent, for they commit lewdness. Now remember, he say, deliver yourself when you're coming in. But remember the final, the final work will secure a consuming. And that consuming or consumption is of sin and death. Now, I just read that just to read it. We could have read a couple other places, but that's the first one kind of my mind. And then, of course, in John chapter 11, that's when they began to plot to lay down the bait. We are currently just read Hosea chapter 6, verses 5 through 9. Now we're about to take a trip to John chapter 11. And the reason why they said, man, it was a song, man, the dude who spit the rhyme is a Lakey the Kid song Nas had called Revolutionary Warfare. And on the line, they say, you got to ride all the time, not just when it's convenient, and be ready to die for what you believe in. So, a lot of people, they do things because it's convenient for them. You know what I'm saying? You stand for something when it's convenient. Like, you sit back and you look at it, right? I'm going to show you how these crackers played you. Why you never really heard me talk about the matter, because I wasn't buying none of that crap. You know what I'm saying? They played you with Kaepernick. You know what I'm saying? You got all excited because a nigga got down on a knee. You know what I'm saying? And this, that, there, and the third, when really he was just begging Mr. White Man. You know what I'm talking about? That's all they were really doing. You know what I'm saying? Because all that woke stuff. You know what I'm saying? I ain't big on that woke stuff. I've been told you that. That woke stuff. Because when you look at that woke stuff, them niggas do a lot of talking, but no solution. What solution did you ever get from Kaepernick for the problem? You ain't get nothing, did it? But guess what you niggas went by? He gave $1 million of his own money to charity. How you know that? Because they told you that.
And what did he get? Deals.
You know what I'm saying?
Money.
And even if he did give $1 million to charity, so what? You know what I'm talking about? See, if you had a spiritual mind, you'd already know. Well, shoot, nigga, he got his reward because I shouldn't even know about that. But he went out his way to let you know that he did that because he down for the cause, because he woke. You seen him? He got his Fidel Castro t-shirt on. Niggas is gullible. You know what I'm talking about? All you got to do is try the old token nigga out there. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? Pick him out a little Afro punk Mex socks on him. That brother, that woke. You know what I'm saying? But the whole time, them niggas just running their mouth. Because they didn't offer a single solitary solution to nothing. And guess what them niggas did? Took a payoff from the NFL to stop kneeling. That's what they did. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? You niggas don't even talk about it no more. They ain't gave Cap a job yet. He probably already knew he wasn't going to get a job. Cracker say, hey, we need you to play a role. You going to play it? Yes, sir. I will play it. You forgot this stupid nigga Kappa Alpha, whatever he is. You ain't know that. He wanted a nigga like to take a cane on his butt. You know what I'm talking about? This nigga around here worshiping ball on the low, nigga. You know what I'm talking about? This nigga a Nimrod worshiper. But you don't care nothing about that because you thought it was real. They cracker let you know he was in them fraternities. They let you know that off the top. I told you, man, anything come through that TV for a purpose. They playing with you. They playing with you. They're emotionally manipulating you. You know what I'm saying?
Don't do that.
We don't do that.
Don't do that.
It's the big deal. Don't do that.
Don't do that. I'm
gonna try and give you some game. You can do what you want to with it. If you know, again, like I tell you, man, in Corinthians, man, we're not ignorant of Hashatan's devices. Yeah, I mean, that's easy. I just seen that with Nipsey. They giving him a humanitarian award at the BET Award. What did the nigga do? The nigga didn't do nothing. Because you opened the business on Slauson and Crenshaw, that make you a humanitarian And you simple enough to fall for that? That's not humanitarian work, nigga. Opening a store? Niggas open stores every day. In the hood, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Every day. I'm a humanitarian because I sought ways to make money off you niggas. You can't be that stupid, man. We supposed to have more wisdom and understanding than that. And we say we the people of the Lord. We say we the people of Yahuwah. Born again, sons and daughters of Elohim. And we dumb as a box of rocks. That all they got to do is trot a sinner out there and you emotionally captivated. Come on, man. You emotionally captivated by a sinner? Nigga, I'm not moved by a sinner, not my emotions. It is what it is. It's unfortunate that he died. He on the way to hell now. And when I say hell, in the grave, and then he on the way to their judgment to meet his maker. What you think what you think he in the book of life, nigga? He did stuff in the hood. You don't know your God. That's all that is. I feel for you. Who made that song?
I feel for you.
That was that funk right there. You know what I'm talking about? But he said, I think I love you. I don't love that nigga. I don't love nobody. Hate my God, nigga. No, that definitely wasn't More Day. That definitely was a woman. I know More Day. That wasn't no More Day.
Oh, it is a woman. It is a woman.
It ain't no More Day. More Day look like a woman sometimes.
You don't know woman.
Shoot. Jerome. Give me a mirror. You know what I'm talking about? The prettiest nigga you ever seen in your life. You thought Prince was pretty. That was his homeboy. I think More Day still alive. That nigga still fresh too. Last I seen. John 11:45. Yeah, you gotta look at that, man. I know you're trying to say, man, it's all about perspective, man. You can't be a two-dimensional thinker. You know what I'm saying? Women are two-dimensional thinkers. A man's supposed to be a three-dimensional thinker. He the head means that you weigh everything according to the will of in heaven. You weigh everything according to the ruach. That means you make actions and judgments according to the word and not according to your logic or your reason or your emotions. Everybody's supposed to get to that point. But the man has to be a three-dimensional thinker above the woman being a two-dimensional thinker. How else will he be the head? He can't be the head if he's a two-dimensional thinker, meaning that he's not an emotional thinker. You know what I'm saying? Women are emotional. It is what it is. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's what makes you a woman. You know what I'm saying? It's learning how to harness and control those emotions and not allow those emotions to cause you to make bad choices and decisions. Things and they get offended because a woman's emotional. It's part of what makes her a woman. It's part of her beauty. You know what I'm saying? But at the same token, that beauty has to be moderated, led, and directed and harnessed. And it has to be done by a man. That's how y'all said it. You know what I'm saying? That's why women that's why women are drawn to people who they think know the word, because that looks like that's power, that's authoritative. This man can lead me, and I wager he could love me properly. A lot of women are Jezebel type character, really not looking for that real godly man to lead them. They're looking for Ahab type character, who is a weak character and a weak heart, who will allow her to be able to finesse and move in the fashion that she wants to move, and he will tolerate it and never correct her and straighten her on her behavior, or leave that bald-headed hoe alone. Nevertheless, John 11:45. And shoot, sometimes bald-headed hoes be men too. Sometimes you gotta leave them bald-headed niggas alone. You know what I'm saying? Then many of the Yahudim with Cain and Mary and seen the things which Yahushua did believe on him. But some of the Pharisees went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what things Yahushua had done. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees of council and said, what do we? For this man do many miracles. If we let him alone, all men will believe on him. And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. Excuse me. And one of them named Caphias, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, you know nothing at all, nor consider that it's expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, prophesied that Yahushua should die for that nation. And not for that nation only, but that he also should gather together in one, the children of Elohim, or the sons of Elohim, that was scattered abroad. Then from that day forth, they took counsel together to put him to death. Now, of course, you know in Matthew 26 what occurred, right? scribes and chief priests sat down and said, we got to kill this nigga. You know what I'm saying? Yahushua had already told his apostles in 2 days is the Passover, and the Son of Man shall be put to death. Of course, we know from Matthew 26, they stepped to Judas. And Judas said, what you'll give me? That's the bait. That's the fowler. But this is the final work because he has to be captured in order for this to do it. So this is why we don't see him delivering himself. Because he's telling him deliver himself from the hand of the fowler. But instead, he did not. Instead, he went forward. But before I read what I was going to read, excuse me, come back to Proverbs chapter 6. And let's look at verse 6. And I'm going to go ahead and roll on that one out. He said, go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider her ways. Be wise, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provide her meat in the summer, gather her food in the harvest. How long will you sleep, O sluggard? When will you arise out of your sleep? Yet a little sleep and a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall your poverty come as one that travail, and thou won't as an armed man. Now, we're going to get to all that, but I needed to set that up about go to the ant, you sluggard, and consider her ways. Because again, you know what? Ants going to go do their job every day. Ain't nobody got to tell that ant what to do. That ant already know what to do. Why? Because it's programmed in them. He born, he know what to do. They know what their culture is. You go back, unfortunately for them, you go back, you go bring it back to the queens. You know what I'm saying? But you go do that job. You know what I'm saying? Everybody know their job and they do it and they function in it. You know what I'm saying? And it's telling you, that's why he say, go to the ant, you sluggard, you lazy bastard, and consider her ways. And be wise. But let's get back to the case of point of deliver yourself from the fowler. Let's go back to Matthew chapter 26. Yes. Y'all got to forgive me, I'm tired. But you know, I'm tired all the time, so it is what it is. Why did Eddie Murphy song just come into my head when I said I'm tired? She wants to party all the time, I remember niggas say Eddie Murphy got on the Star David. That's all. Like I said, man, nigga lame. I seen a nigga post a picture of somebody from Jagged Edge. He had a mitre on and a shirt hanging with some fringes on it. And he said, that brother woke. That nigga sleep. Nigga be screaming, these nigga woke, them nigga sleep. Nigga still in their sins. What is that nigga woke from? He ain't woke up to nothing. Till he see Yahushua, then he gonna think it's a bad dream. Till he realizes in real life, the Son of Man has returned with a sword in his hand and heads are rolling. Heads are rolling. All you had to do was pay the toll. And the toll was to sacrifice your life. That's all you had to do. He sacrificed his for you. That's the part I don't understand. And I done told y'all this in the past. We scream so much about how much this man sacrificed his life for us, but we won't sacrifice nothing for him. You won't sacrifice family members. You won't sacrifice friends. You won't sacrifice your desires. You won't sacrifice nothing. But you always talking about, Jesus loves me and the Bible told me so. I don't understand that. How you expect to gain something and you ain't got to lose nothing? I can remember back in the day, man, some of the women be like, we lose more than the men. We had to stop wearing earrings and makeup. So you had to stop looking like a whore. So you thought that was a sacrifice, that you stopped around here looking like a monkey dog whore. That's not a sacrifice, that you stop gallivanting and carrying on like a whore. You were devaluing yourself and dishonoring your whole family. But you thought that was a sacrifice because you couldn't put weave in your head and play crayon, put crayons on your face. You know what I'm saying? Like, sit there and really think about that. You paying somebody to look like a whore and think but see, again, the men set the culture, because if men didn't tolerate it, then they would have to stop or they wouldn't get no man. You know what I'm saying? It's simple as that. Guess what? If these hoes if niggas stop paying attention to whole they taking pictures with their booty on the sink. You know what I'm talking about? Ho, put some clothes on you, dirty foot hoe. Guess what's gonna happen? She gonna have to change, or she ain't gonna meet. She ain't gonna get no husband. She ain't gonna get no protector. She ain't gonna get no provider. She ain't gonna get none of that. But because you nigga like, boy,
See, that's the thing, though. That's
that's
the logic I don't understand. Like,
that's idealistic.
they do that, but the only niggas they attract is niggas that can't offer none of that.
Cause that's they ain't want a nigga who shoot. They ain't got nothing to offer. At the end of the day, what they got to offer? Again, they living in a delusional mind. They think that they got a lot to offer. You're not that valuable. You know what I'm saying? That's pre-owned coochie. Possibly salvage. You know what I'm talking about?
Possibly mildew.
Possibly mildew. You might quite possibly have multiple children from multiple different men. You don't know how to be a wife. You don't know how to keep a house. You don't cook. You don't clean. You know what I'm talking about? You don't have any domestic skills to speak of. What are you here for? You don't have an entrepreneurial mind. I heard a brother say this here too, right? He said, you know, and I've been told y'all this, but it's been a minute. I forget, Aaron Russo, that was his name. You know, he was down with one of them rich Rothschilds, or whatever the case may be. And he was like, you know, the Rothschild dude telling him what the play was. I just mentioned y'all this the other day. Like, the reason why they let women in the workforce, it wasn't because they wanted women rights or equality. It's because they were only taxing half the population. You know what I'm saying? They wanted more tax revenue. You put the women in the workforce, I get more tax revenue. On top of that, it overloads or floods the workforce. So now I have more people vying for the same amount of job opportunities. So therefore I can pay less. You know what I'm saying? Which means I get to make more profit on top of the taxing. You know what I'm talking about? Get you out the home. Therefore, you got to send it, you know what I'm saying? Send it to the school, send it to the daycare. The daycare in the state now become the parent because neither parent is in the household. You know what I'm talking about? And it causes a trickle-down effect of the degradation of an entire group of people, not just black. And now you have 2019. You know what I'm saying? Now you have what you see in 2019. But you thought that was women right. Just like somebody say, oh, you need to have the college experience to go be a hoe and get drunk. What type of experience? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm just saying that and this is mainly referring to people on sports shows that talk about kids who need to go to college for the college experience. And that's usually what they're referring to. I'm not speaking to the average normal person. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of debauchery and a lot of liberal teaching that go on a majority of these college campuses, depending on what college you go to. You know what I'm saying? And that continues the degradation and retardation of a race of people. And when I say race of people, I'm talking about people as a whole. So you see all of that, and all that comes down, and then a woman begins to despise her role as a wife and as a woman. A man begins to recede from his role as a man and a husband, and then you have what you have. So you have a generation of young women who are taught that their value is based on their sexual prowess and their body, and that's why you see a lot of women go into tailspins once their looks fade. Because now you have to actually be someone of substance. And you've spent 30, 40 years not cultivating any substance. So that's why they go to screaming, ain't no good men out here. Well, whoever told you you were a good woman? Whoever told you you were a woman of value worth marrying? You know what I'm saying? Because the only value you had to add was your vagina. You know what I'm saying? And that's sad because that's destructive to the women. So that's where the woman, you young women, knowing that you have to be diligent on making sure that you teach and show your daughter what it is to be a woman and be a wife if you're already married. That's why it's imperative for you to embrace your role and seek to flourish in it, so that your daughter can see that and be a woman of value. You know what I'm saying? At the same token, y'all niggas got too many children, and we didn't have this conversation before. Y'all should already be making arrangements for your daughters to be marrying some of these young men that we already got. You shouldn't be sending your daughter out into the world talking about let her pick a man. I know you don't want your daughter to go out here and be no whore. But as your daughter come back a whore, I'm gonna laugh at you in your face because you could have prevented that and you chose not to. I'm gonna laugh at you in your face. Just let that be known. Every one of you niggas who got a daughter, you send her out here, y'all forbid the world even keep going that long. You know what I'm talking about? And you be like, yeah, man, she done came home pregnant. I'm gonna laugh at you in your face. You know what I'm talking about? Because that means we got, y'all niggas got it. Boy, y'all at 21 churn. It's 2 minute churn. You know what I'm talking about? Ain't no way in the world them niggas get grown and they around here talking about you ain't got no husband for them. Oh, you had a husband for him, but you wanted to send him into the world. Now she finna get her back blowed out, and you gonna be around here saying, man, she a hoe. No, nigga, that's your fault. Take that L, cuz. Take that L. Right or wrong, you gotta take that L, don't you? You gotta take that L. That's your fault. You take that L. Don't you blame your daughter, nigga. You failed her. That's your fault. Matthew 26:47, man. And while he yet spake, lo, Judas, one of the 12, came with him a great multitude with swords and staves from the chief priests and elders of the people. And now he that betrayed him gave him a sign, saying, whomsoever I shall kiss, the same as he, hold him fast. Forthwith he came to Yahushua and said, hail, master, and kissed him. Then came they and laid hands on Yahushua and took him. And behold, one of them which were with Yahushua stretched out his hand, drew a sword, struck a servant of the high priest, and smote off his ear. So what is Peter trying to do? Peter trying to deliver him from the hand of the man who done laid the bait. Then said Yahushua unto them, put up again your sword into its place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Think you that I cannot pray to my Abba, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of Malachim? But then how shall the scriptures be fulfilled? Thus it must be. And see, that takes us back to what? Look at the ant, you sluggard. Because what would Peter them around there doing? Sleeping. Consider her ways and be wise. See, come on back to Proverbs 6. See, praise the Lord. Praise Yah for Yahushua. See, that everything come back, touch each other. You know what I'm talking about? Because guess what? It's all the same word. It's all the same word. And then when you see what that fowler or that bait that the scribes and the Pharisees and the work of Judas was for Yahushua to do the final work to secure the consumption or the consuming of sin and death. That's why he said, how else can the what? Scriptures be fulfilled. How can my work be complete if the fowler or the bait or the trap layer don't get me? This has to happen. But again, Peter don't know that. You know what I'm saying? He don't know that. That's why we got to thank Yah. We know that. We know that. And if we know that, we should approach things differently. Because see, and this is an example too of what I'm talking about. Peter's reaction is cool, but it's an emotional reaction. It's also a reaction to protect his master. You know what I'm talking about? Also, but same token, Yahushua had already told them what was going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
He told them boys to wake up. Then that was
that's gonna happen. He done already told them this, but his emotion overpowered. I'm gonna defend my master again. His emotion in that moment, he ain't wrong per se, but spiritually he's wrong. And not wrong as if it's a sin, but wrong with this wasn't the proper conduct only because Yahushua had already told him what he may have not went in depth. He may have not pulled out script for script, but he had already told him numerous times. You know what I'm saying?
But literally
just told him. So when it goes down, he say, oh, let me put his ear back on. And then he explained to him, Peter, this is a measured spiritual response. Yahushua is not emotionally triggered. He's moving by the Ruach. He's not emotionally triggered. He come through. He cut his ear off. He said, how's the scripture? That's why they see the same thing when they spit in his face. Or when they slapped him. Or when Buddy came and slapped him and he said, hey, man, if I spoke wrong, then cool. But if not, what did you hit me for? Now, when you see it, that's straightforward talking, but that's not an emotional response. How do we know that's not an emotional response? Because he said, if I said something wrong, I can take that because I'm wrong. You understand? But he said, but if not, you ain't had no business putting your hands on me, cuz. You know what I'm talking about? You was wrong for that. Because that's a spiritual response. And that goes back to what Peter wrote in his epistle about committing yourself to him who judges righteously. See, you're having an emotional response in certain situations because you haven't committed your trust to the man who judges righteously. So you feel like you have to judge and vindicate yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's where that's coming from. You not realizing that because you haven't gave heed to the instruction of your father. You ain't laying the word up in your heart. So you're still going by how you feel. And as a man, that is inadmissible. It's unacceptable. You know what I'm saying? That junk ain't cool. Stop worrying about all that, man, and learn to control yourself. Learn to control yourself. What if Yahushua let his emotion? He not gonna fulfill the book, and therefore you still will be mired in your sins and be still a victim of death. So if you can see, ain't now one of you niggas ever been in a situation where you felt like, boy, I can't allow my emotions to get the best of me, or a work that's greater than me is not going to be accomplished. So if you haven't faced, and when I mean it basically in a better term of putting it, what's in Hebrews, ain't none of you strived against sin under blood. So ain't nobody came and tried you and sized you to the point where you had to keep yourself contained so you wouldn't sin. You know what I'm talking about? By the shedding of your blood. So you don't got no business allowing anyone to dictate that from you. We just have to do better. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, niggas don't want to hear no excuses. You know what I'm saying? All that other stuff. You a man. I just got to do better. You know what I'm saying? I just got to do better. But the thing is holding each other accountable and not making excuses or validating a nigga excuses in a situation where he knows he got to be better. You know what I'm talking about? See, that's our problem. And that's come from you raised by women. That's why you don't like it. You sitting at it. That's what women sit around in the table and cackle about the nonsense they be doing, and they whole friends standing. You know what I'm talking about? Girl, I just be doing this. I know, girl. You know, no. Men ain't supposed to sit around and do that. Nigga tell you that, hey, boy, you need to tighten up. Nigga called me with that yesterday, man. That nigga say, bro, they do it. Nah, nigga, I don't want to hear that, nigga. What can you do to be a better driver? I ain't heard that come out your mouth near time. You know what I'm saying? That's not to say that people might not do things that are wrong and that's disregarding their error, but you can't control what other people do. You control what you do. The minute you telling me another person can control what you do is the minute you told me you're a weak man. So that's what you just told me. Another person can control what you do. You can't tell me you're a man, a grown man, a strong man. You can't tell me none of that. Because what did Yahushua say? He said the man couldn't come through and burglarize his house unless he bound up the strong man, right? So that means that person can come in there and dictate what you do. That means either you or them bound up the strong man. That's why they was able to plunder your house. That means Satan can get you to do anything then, nigga. Because all he got to do is do something to trigger you off. That's why our people in the stray. You know what I'm saying? That's why we in the stray. And I mention that stuff because, nigga get to their word. They quick, nigga, when the man's the head. The woman's supposed to submit to me and rule over me. But you think like a woman, though. You know what I'm saying? You just want to rule because you want to feel better about yourself. You're emotionally frayed. You know what I'm talking about? You're mentally disturbed. Somebody didn't give you a hug. You're lacking something because you feel like you have to do that to make yourself feel like a man. And you don't have to do that. Got to rule justly in the fear of Elohim. Dwell with your wife according to knowledge, and let the love of Elohim be manifest in the sight of men, that they may humble themselves and confess that Yahushua is the anointed one of the creator of heaven and earth, and Yahuwah of hosts is his name. That's what your objective should be. Bring honor and esteem to your God and stop being an idiot. You know what I'm saying? Because we smarter than that. We smarter than that. You know what I'm saying? We don't got to be idiots, and we don't have to be imbeciles, and we don't have to be simplistic and be simpletons. We're smarter than that. We're better than that. We have the words of the living Elohim. How could we not be? He said, he looked at what people have a law so good, such a wise and understanding people. You know what I'm saying? We better than that. When you got the word and you believe it and adhere to it, you're better than that. And that's our thing, man. Ain't nobody ever told you you could be a better man and give you the framework and the tool to be a better man because you didn't desire it. You know what I'm saying? Niggas don't want to do nothing but get their little penis wet. That's all you worry about. Penis wet and selfish with a bald-headed hoe. That's all these niggas want to do. Then complain about the white man. That's all them woke niggas be doing. Complaining about the white man. Them white people, man, bump them crackers, man. You know what I'm talking about? At the end of the day, you can't never get nothing done focusing on what other people doing or not doing. Bump them. You know what I'm saying? What you worry about them for? That's a feminine trait in and of itself because you too concerned about what somebody else is doing, as if what they're doing has any effect on what you're doing. Have they sex? policies in place to hold you back? Yeah, they done did it, but you claim Yahuwah on your side. So what does it matter what policies they have in effect? Why does that matter? Why do you even care? Why are they ever concerned? Because you want the white man to give you a hug and validate you and tell you equal. That's what you're after. I have no desire for that. Never did before the word, don't now, and Yah forbid I ever will. I could care less. I don't need their validation. I don't need a hug. I don't need a stamp. I don't need nothing from them. And I ain't looking for it either. You know what I'm saying? And you're supposed to lead it, man. You control your own life, man. You know what I'm saying? Live it according to the way of Yahuwah. Bottom line, Proverbs 6:6. He said, go to the ant, you sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Let's look at it, man. And I'm just letting you know, I felt like that before the word of what I just talking about. I felt like that before the word. See, it's a lot of stuff that my mind was on. I just don't talk about it. And truth be told, the reason why I don't talk about a lot of stuff like that, man, because from my experience, it offends people. You know what I'm saying? And it causes me to be alienated from people. So I keep that stuff to myself. You know what I'm saying? Because when we were younger, we talk about this type of stuff all the time. And I felt like that then. And I feel like that now. I'm not concerned with it. It's just more accentuated and more powerful because I serve Yahuwah now. See, before it was just a simple fact of bump them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not concerned with them people. They don't have no bearing on what I'm doing. They don't have no bearing on my thoughts. I'm not concerned with these people. You know what I'm saying? And when I say these people, I'm talking about the government, the infrastructure of white supremacy. I'm not concerned with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not concerned with it. I'm not living my life based off what of my perceived thought of what somebody else won't let me do. I just don't adhere to that. No, you don't want to purposely offend people. You know, Paul said, you know, I'm of clear conscience that I void of offense to man and Elohim. So if all possible, Trey, seek not to offend anyone. But if you're telling the truth and you're standing for what's right, you're going to offend people. And a lot of times you can offend people with your mindset. Like I told y'all, man, when I slid that first Yellowbird meeting, man, and dudes like, you know, it's good to be in here with people of like mind. Bro, I don't even know and I don't even care. You know what I'm saying? It's funny you mentioned that because a couple of weeks ago, my little homie was remember when he asked me that. And I told him, bro, I don't know and I don't care. It's irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? Let me look at the word sluggard real quick, man. But it means lazy. Of course, you know that. Atzal, Ayin, Sa, and Lamad. And somebody who's a sluggard just doesn't want to experience the way of the shepherd. You know what I'm saying? So you old sluggard, you don't want to experience the way of the shepherd. You don't want to know that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why he's telling you, go to the ant, you sinner, if you will. But the man, what I'm saying, like, you know, and the word for ant is nimla, noon, mean, lamad, and hay. So, you know, behold the teaching of the blood of life, if you will. So you can look at the ant as Yahusha and the sluggard as the sinner or unrepentant individual, and they need to consider his ways, which is the rock, and be wise, which is Shakam. Now, I say, man, like, imagine if Yahusha would have came in and said, these Romans ain't gonna let me preach this word. These priests and scribes, they gonna stop me because they not gonna like what I got to say. See, that sound like some sucker stuff. You know what I'm saying? When you hear it, it sound like some sucker stuff. You know what I'm saying? Adversity is put in your way. You know, that's why he told you, you're gonna have to have much tribulation to enter into the kingdom of Elohim just to see how bad you want the desired result that you're seeking. See, we want everything to be easy and smooth sailing. That's just not life. Life just doesn't flow that way. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't flow that way. So you have to buckle yourself down, manifest some heart, and endure and do what's necessary to achieve your objectives. You know what I'm saying? I was talking about it last night, like before the word, I was focused on doing what I needed to do. I wasn't worried about women. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't worried about, I need to fall in love, which is some sucker stuff in and of itself. You know what I'm saying? Or trying to have kids. My mind wasn't on that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not in a mental and emotional place to talk about being a husband or a father. So I did not seek to do any of that. I was focused on what my purpose was and trying to figure out a way to accomplish that. You know what I'm saying? Once dealing with the word, that is my number one purpose. And no woman will ever come before that. You know what I'm saying? And I told a couple women that who I dealt with, you will never come before this, ever, under no circumstance. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen. And I said that from the gate. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times we don't, as men, you don't set what it is from the gate. And then she gets the choice to if she want to roll with that or not. You have to set that from the gate of what it is and what it's not going to be. And then if she want to be down with it, then she can be down with it. But if you don't set it from the gate and then you try to come back later, she's probably not trying to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what type of woman she is, she's probably not trying to hear that. And that's what you see when you're dealing with the word. Yahuwah said it from the gate. You can get down with it or not. But the standard set from the gate. That's the beauty of it. It's the beauty of it. You know what it is from the jump. Some people don't have no root in them, so they endure for a while, but by and by, they are offended. Now, remember when you know way, the rock, that's the way to the highest, which covers sins. So go to the ant. Well, that's right? Remember he told you, go to them that sell. Seek and you shall find. Go to Yahusha. That's what they were doing. The sluggard, the lazy, the sluggish. You sleep. Open your eyelids. That's what we read, right? You open your eyelids and Mashiach could give you light. So he's telling you, go to the ant. Go to Yahusha and you'll get light. You'll live. And consider her ways. And when you consider her ways, you will be wise because Yahusha has been made unto you wisdom, righteousness, sanctification. See, that's the beauty of the gospel. How it's tied. Listen to what it say, right? It don't have no God, no overseer, or no ruler. So let's look at that. Now, to a certain extent, you're going to have a God and an overseer and a ruler. You know that. The word God is a chief commander or a ruler, one in authority. That's Katsin, Kuf, Sod, Yod, Noon. So when you see that final way of the work of life, if you will, you know what I'm talking about? So when you turn around and you look at it, who is that ruler? Yahusha is your ruler, even though that chief or commander in and of himself is not manifest in the flesh, being Yahusha himself. He said he provide her meat in the summer and gather her food in the harvest. Now, we know Yahusha had a guide and a ruler. That was his father. He said his father gave me a commandment, what I should say and what I should speak. And I know his commandment is life everlasting. But when he was on the earth, did he have a chief commander? No, he did not. He did not. He didn't have no guide, no overseer, or no ruler. And he provided his meat in the summer because, let's just take a look. Judges 14 and 14, just on the strength, bring it back to your memory about him providing meat for himself in the summer. I'm just mentioning a couple stuff and quoting it versus reading it because it's getting late. And I don't want to keep you all night. I try not to do that these days and times. We started a little late because we had difficulties, if you will. But it's all good now. And praise be to Yah, in the name of Yahushua. We appreciate your time. And he came unto them, make it verse 13, make it 12. And Samson said unto them, I will now put forth a riddle unto you. If you can certainly declare it me within the 7 days of the feast and find it out, I will give you 30 sheets and 30 change of garments. But if you cannot declare it to me, then you shall give me 30 sheets and 30 change of garments. And they said unto him, put forth your riddle that we may hear it. And he said unto them, out of the eater come forth meat, and out of the strong come forth sweetness. And they could not in 3 days expound the riddle. Now, of course, some of you remember this particular passage and the time that we've spent on it in times past. So we're going to swing on over here to John chapter 6, because he say, out of the eater come forth meat, out of the strong come forth sweetness. that sweetness like the nigga who said he been delivered now. Because he told you truly the light is sweet. That nigga been delivered. I don't know who delivered it. Might have been Domino's. It definitely wasn't yours. But let's leave that man alone because he might not be a punk, even though that nigga still looks sweet as hood Kool-Aid. That nigga look like he's a special type of punk. And the word for sweetness in Judges 14 is mathok, sweet, pleasant thing. Mean, noon, ooh, and kuf. Kuf getting a lot of shine in these days, you know, and that be light. We'll say light for that kuf at the end, and you know, secured light, and then the man would raise on let's say that mean, you know what I'm saying? We'll say the man will raise on blood, secured light, or secured life at that particular juncture. That's why truly the light is sweet. You understand? That's why he said, the strong comes sweetness, because Yahushua was strong in every aspect of strength. And that's why he's our model of what it is to be a man. That's why we took the time to look at some of those attributes of an alpha male and see if they would line up with the word. Because Yahushua is the model of a man that we all must aim to be. We all must aim to be as that man. What was I going to do again? John chapter 6, praise the Lord. Make this brief as possible. Yeah, John chapter 6, right? Verse 53. I could have paraphrased it. I just felt like reading it. Then Yahushua said unto them, truly, truly, I say unto you, except you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink blood, you have no life in you. Whoso eat my flesh and drink my blood have eternal life, and I'll raise them up at the last day. For my flesh is meat indeed, and my blood is drink indeed, and he that eat my flesh and drink my blood dwell in me, and I in him. And remember what he did when he passed. Before he passed, he took the one piece of bread, right? And he out of the eater came forth meat. You know what I'm saying? And that meat that he gave was his flesh or his body for the life of the world. So when you see that he provided his meat in summer because it was Passover, and Passover is in the what? In the summer, right? So come on back over here. So look at the other thing he said, right? And gather her food in the harvest. Oh, no. Now, I'm going to see. I'm going to test you. I'm going to test you because we did talk about it not too long ago. What does this mean, he gathered her food in the harvest? Who remembers, who can tie it in the sun that we just looked at, I would say, in the last 30 to 45 days? If you don't remember, it's cool. But I'm going to see if anybody can remember. You got a couple minutes. Couple minutes. I give you a hint. It was in Malachi, what we was pulling out of to look at.
When we did the meat to the storehouse.
The meat to the storehouse. Because he's gathering his food, which is, remember this right there, right? It says in James, right? You say, you know, the husbandmen have a longing for the precious fruit, right? Fruit of the earth. You know, the people who resurrect from the dead. That's why he say, you know, the time come where those in the graves shall hear the voice of the son of Elohim. And they that hear, we're going to gather her food in the harvest. In verse 8, what that related to the son that we just went over. And same way he was telling you about, you know, the wheats and the tares too. You know what I'm saying? He would gather all the wheat into his storehouse. So when you see he's telling you to go to the ant, you sluggard, you sinner, go to Yahushua and consider his ways. Nobody was over him to tell him what to do, but yet he provided his meat in the summer. Therefore, he provided his body. Let me see the word for provide. He provided a sacrifice. Remember, you said Yahuwah provided. I'm talking about in Genesis. What did Abraham tell Isaac? He said Yahuwah had prepared a sacrifice. And what he told him?
Hand of the fire.
Right out the hand of the fire, out the hand of the bait layer. And then
that's what I thought about when you said bait layer. I thought about the like you said, to the wheat and the tares. I thought about him being the the one sowing bad seed. Bait
Mm-hmm. Yeah, trapper. He's a trapper.
Throwing that fake bait.
Fake bait.
Trap bait out there.
Say deliver yourself. That's when you say when you grab hold of Yahushua, you deliver yourself from the bait layer or the center. Now, when you look at provide, guess what it is? It's coon. Y'all remember coon? Not coon like raccoon, but coon. Kuf, u, and noon. To be firm, to be established, to be secure, to be enduring, to be prepared, to be arranged, to be settled, to be fastened, to be ready, to be direct, to constitute, to set up. So when you see set up, guess what the word for meat is? You know what the word for meat is? It ain't animal flesh, everybody. It's lechem. You know what that word is, right? Huh?
That's bread.
That's bread. What you just read in Proverbs. I mean in John chapter 6. That's bread. Huh? That changed the whole thing right there. He provide bread in the summer, and you just read John chapter 6 and what it said. My flesh is meat indeed. Hold on, come on back now. Oh, you ain't even gospel be right there in your face. You know what I'm talking about? Gotta gather your bread in the summer. Yahushua came in the summer. Look at John 6 now. Let's look at John 6 and 35. Let's see if he referred to his body as bread. He said, provide bread in the summer. Yahushua said unto them, I am the bread of life. He that come to me shall never hunger, and he that believe on me shall never thirst. But I said unto you that you also have seen me and believe not. All that the Father give me shall come to me, and him that come to me I will no wise doubt. For I come down from Shamahim not to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me. And this is Abba will which have sent me, that all of which he have given me, I should lose nothing, but shall raise it up again at the last day. This is the will of him that sent me, and everyone which see the Son and believe on him may have everlasting life, and I'll raise him up at the last day. We try to verse 43. I give you the whole play. Yahushua therefore answered and said unto them, murmur not among yourselves. No, he's not back in the summer. He provided his meat, or he provided a sacrifice in the summer. He said he come to gather his meat in the harvest, gather in the time, and that's in the winter. No man can come to me except Abba which sent me, draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day. It is written in the prophets, they shall all be taught of Elohim, every man therefore that have heard and have learned of Abba, come unto me. Verse 48. I am that bread of life. Your fathers did eat manna in the wilderness and are dead. This is the bread which come down from Shamahim, that a man may eat thereof and not die. I am the living bread which come down from Shamahim. If any man eat this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world. Now let's see if we got the same word for meat, pause, in Judges 14. Mm-hmm. Nah, this is a different one there. It got food, fruit, meat, mahakal. You don't got that there. But when you see a proverb telling you about Yahushua.
That's what you said, bro.
That's what it about. That's what the word said it's about.
That's what it's about.
Yeah, that's what the Lord said. That's what the Lord said. I ain't said. That's what the Lord said. And you see it right there. He told you to go to the ant. The ant's Yahushua. The sluggard is us. And we supposed to been looking at him and considering him. And he said, look at his word. He provide a meat in the summer. Then he asked you a question. How long will you sleep, O sluggard? Remember, sleep is shakar. That's to lie down in death. How long you gonna be dead, old dummy, old sinner? That's what we just read in Ephesians. Awake, arise, you that sleep, and the Mashal will give you life. Like what he just asked you, when will you arise out of sleep? You gonna stay there, the light shining in your face? You gonna stay in the bed? Oh, you a special type of student. He said, yet a little sleep and a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep, so shall your poverty come as one that travail, and thy want as an armed man. Now travail is halak, so that means it's gonna walk up on you, lead you, and carry you away. To see poverty, and I mean that should be apparent or what your poverty gonna be. That's the Lord coming to carry your way, your want coming to carry you as an armed man. Come on, what you want, baby? What it is you need? You need something? I need oil in my lamp. It's too late. It's too late. Because that shield and that buckler coming. And that shield and buckler is Yahushua. He gonna carry your stupid butt away. Carry you right away to meet your end. But hallelujah for Yahushua. And we start right there, man, because we can pick up Proverbs 6 and it'll cause us to cross-reference something in Proverbs 24, truthfully, but there ain't really no way to do it. So, but again, a lot of things to consider and to weigh in your mind. And the things that you got to consider and weigh in your mind is to how to be more spiritually inclined. Considering that you ought to arise out of your slumber, to not lay down in death and lay down in carnality, to be more emotionally mature and controlled. You know what I'm saying? Definitely understanding how this man could have chosen to deliver himself, but instead stayed true to the plan and kept control of himself. And then at the end, how we ought to consider Yahushua and see how he provided himself as a sacrifice, or was established his body as a sacrifice, so he could gather us up at the end, which we didn't even pull scripts for that, because we done dealt with him gathering you up in so many different ways. But like I said, man, you know, when it hit my mind when we were going through Proverbs 23 and 23, the whole gospel is here. And of course, we seen his death, burial, and resurrection and return from Proverbs chapter 6 and 1 all the way to verse 11. And his wrath. You know what I'm saying? You got 11 verses. And the whole story is right there. You can see from verse 5, you got his persecution. You see in verse 1, you got his redemption or process going on with that. You can see how they tried to beguile him or catch him with his words. You see how you told to look to the Son and to consider him and emulate him. You got the offering of his body and his return to gather and the wrath on those who refuse to obey. You know what I'm saying? It's all right there. And it's all so that you can believe on the name of the only begotten Son, because you would look at that ant and you would consider her ways, and you would be wise because you would move like the ant moves. Praise Yahuwah in the name of Yahushua. He's definitely in the volume of the book. I thank the Lord. I've been convinced for a long time. For a long time. You know what I'm saying? And even what we can look at in verses 12 and 19, with some of you, if you've been rolling for a minute, you are already going to see his death and burial and resurrection again, because we would have to tie what's in that to things that are in Proverbs and other places. You know what I'm saying? The whole gospel is in the book of Proverbs. Like I said, we could do Psalms, but we'd probably be on Psalms for a year and a half. You know what I'm saying? Especially you're talking about getting the 119th division. But the whole gospel, shoot, some of them songs, the whole gospel in the one song whole time. You know what I'm talking about? Straight up, depending on which one you're looking at. You know what I'm saying? So it's a beautiful thing, man. Let you know Yahuwah is real, and Yahushua is his only begotten Son and his anointed one. It lets us know that the giving and indwelling of the Ruach HaKadosh is a real thing and is attainable. You know what I'm saying? And it also lets us know that when we see these things of what we're looking at, of how we are to consider the ant or consider our leader, so that we can formulate that same form of leadership. Because we can't allow our women to lead. Truth be told, deep down in the essence of a woman, she don't want to lead. She don't want that responsibility. She doesn't have that care to do so. She would much rather yield to a man worthy of doing that. If she's any type of woman, you know what I'm saying? She'll much rather say, I would rather this man lead. Because as I mentioned before, a godly woman, a good woman, is a compliment to a man and is the most valuable resource that he will ever possess. Do you know what I'm saying? And when both are living harmony according to the roles that Yahuwah has ordained, and it's a beautiful situation, and it's a beloved thing to see, and a praiseworthy matter where Yahuwah by Hashem Yahushua get all the esteem. But again, because we're not taught that in that fashion, we don't approach it in that fashion. You know what I'm saying? So we don't see it that way. Like I said, I was telling my homeboy, man, you can't even hear it on the Jesus for True Freedom channel, where that particular, let me see what the name of it, because the volume went out. So you definitely can't hear it. But I don't even remember what I dropped. I dropped it so long ago. Hold on. I don't even know if people still look at anything that is on a particular channel for that matter. But it was called As on Earth, As in Heaven, you know, of Mashal to the church as a husband. You know, I thank y'all for that, man. I've known that for a very long time, taught it for a very long time, and tried to persuade individuals to do that. And when I've been in situations of dealing with one of the female persuasion, to try to show her that that is what it's supposed to be. And I cannot settle for anything short of that, because then that would be my fault. You know what I'm saying? Because I know better. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be a union of praise to Elohim. You know what I'm saying? A manifestation of his kadoshness, not your happiness, not your desires. That's where you mess up at. You know what I'm saying? Because you try to make everything about you and your feelings and your happiness, and it's never about Yahuwah. So you're really trying to glory and esteem yourself when you need to be seeking the glory and esteem of the man who created you, and make sure that what you're doing, that honor is brought to his name. And that he is pleased with your doings, instead of you always worrying about you pleasing yourself. You know what I'm saying? And that's what love is about. It's selflessness and sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? I told you that Wednesday, man. You can't be in love with somebody. Doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Love is not a feeling. Your feelings change. You know what I'm saying? Your feelings change. You know what I'm saying? So you can't define love by that standard. And you've allowed this society to dictate that definition of love to you, to define that standard. So we have to define it how Yahuwah defined it and live that. And if you can achieve that, an individual who will love you with a godly love, then your life will be outstanding. You know what I'm saying? Because you'll get a love that you've never received before. But if you want to go ahead and get you a love that's based off of romance and was based off of movies and televisions and relationship goals and all that cornball stuff, niggas in the word talking about sinners or their relationship, niggas ought to be slapped in their mouth. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, you know what I'm saying? Niggas want to model themselves after a sinner. You better model yourself after Sarah and Abraham, you dumb nigga. You know what I'm saying? And I done seen niggas in the word over the course of years do that relationship goal. These are sinners, nigga. Are you serious? Your goal is to be damnable? Well, shoot. Well, they say, well, slap me and call me a monkey then. You know what I'm talking about? Because I ain't making no kind of sense, but hey, what do I know? But I bless everybody out the house. Y'all name of Yahushua. I appreciate everybody's time, man. We'll be at Regency. Y'all willing on tomorrow, man. Y'all willing on tomorrow. Pick it up, do it again. You know what I'm saying? Take a stroll on the block. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully the plug slide through. Drop us off a pack. You know what I'm saying? Open up the shop. You know what I'm saying? Like 2 for $5s. You know what I'm saying? Red tops, blue tops. You know what I'm saying? You want grams. Whatever case. Whatever, however you want it, we got it. Yahuwah don't never close up shop, man. He open 24/7, man. Yahuwah open 7 days a week, man. He'll never close up shop. That's the beauty of the word. That's the beauty of the Lord. He don't never close up shop, man. Yahushua stay on the block, ready to pump. But one day he gonna come off the block, man. He already told you that. You know what I'm saying? I feel for anyone at that point who ain't heard the word when he decided to close up shop. So I be telling you, better be diligent with it, impart it to your household. Because one day he gonna close up shop. When we close up shop, ain't no more dope on the street, man. What you gonna do? It's a drought. Some of y'all ain't never hustled, so you don't know the sickening feeling it is when it's a drought. Niggas sitting like this here. You trying to turn it into some bread, ain't no money to be made. Now you're looking crazy. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, consider that ant, man. Consider that ant, man. Don't be lazy. Don't be no sluggard, man. Be diligent in your labor, man. You stand before kings. So again, bless y'all at the house of y'all name of Yahushua, man. Y'all stay up. Till next time.